Good afternoon. It is Thursday, August 20th, just after 2 p.m. How you doing? My name is Larry Cedar, and I'm back with you for another session on scanning, SQANNING, which is a relaxation technique which utilizes the incremental release of muscular tension to achieve a deep state of physical, emotional, and ultimately mental calm. So yes, it's another hot day here in the San Fernando Valley. And I'm going to treat this session like kind of a one-on-one. I've done a lot of sessions you can see on previous videos. I have all my sessions listed on the scanning page, SQANNING. You can see them there. I also have a YouTube channel. If you look for scanning, SQANNING, all the videos are posted there. And typically what I do is I start with a little background on the technique and then we go into the practice. But I want to jump right in. I'm going to treat this session today as though you came to me and you said, Larry, I need to relax, man. I just need to chill. I'm wound up. I'm stressed. I'm depressed. I'm not feeling good. I feel bad. Okay, so let's just go from there. I'm not even going to talk about the technique. I'm just going to give you a few suggestions and let's see how it goes. And I'll explain why we're doing what we're doing as we go. But I want you to start off right now, and some of this will seem very simplistic, but stay with me. Take a deep, deep breath. And take another. And another. And sit for 15 seconds in stillness and silence. Another deep breath. 15 more seconds. So what we just did is part of what I call the initial preliminary steps in terms of scanning. So without explaining it, I just had us jump right in. Basically, breathing is an expansive step. What we're going to do is we're going to move from a contracted state to an expanded state. The simplest, most direct way to move into an expanded state is to take a series of deep breaths. It's that easy. It seems like common knowledge, seems like common sense, but we forget to breathe. It's incredible how we just forget to breathe. So let's do it again, 3 more times. That's 1. That's 2. That's 3, 15 seconds of stillness and silence. So when you're in a what I call contracted state, when you are depressed, when you are anxious, when you're feeling out of sorts, when you're feeling bad, typically what that means is you've moved into a physically contracted, emotionally contracted, mentally contracted state. You're working too hard, man. You're working too hard. You've either put yourself into this physical state of preparedness, emotionally closed off to protect yourself, or a mental cage of sorts. You're just constricted, you're contracted. You feel frozen, you feel inflexible, you feel impermeable, you feel bad. So I like for this technique to be as simple as possible because I don't want anyone to have to read a book or go to a class or anything like that. I want you to, when you leave here, be able to say, I got some techniques that will bring me out of that contracted state. And we start with the number 1 step, deep breaths. I'm going to do it again. I know it seems basic, it seems simple, but you'll be amazed at the effect. This time we're going to do 5. 5 deep breaths. You ready? 1. 2. 3. 2 more. Hang in there. 4. 5. 30 seconds of stillness and silence. So now I'm going to share something with you. I don't normally talk about myself very much in these sessions because it's sort of irrelevant. We're all the same. We're all humans. I'm taking myself through this with you. There's nothing particular about me that is of any value to you. I'm just practicing the technique. But I will tell you this much, that I came to this session today in a very contracted state as a result of things I've been having to deal with in the first part of this day. And one of the reasons I wanted to get right to it is because to help myself. And I'll tell you what happens when I start to practice this technique. And it's happened to me already, just from these first initial steps. The thoughts, ideas, concerns that have been bombarding my consciousness, bringing me into this contracted state, begin to ease off, begin to dissipate, begin to recede. The things I've been worried about begin to fall off into the distance, just as a result of taking a series of deep breaths. Thoughts are contractions. Worries, anxiety are contractions. Muscular tension is a contraction. We get caught up in this contracted state because it feels to us like a solution. Contraction feels like a solution. Have a problem? Think about it. Have a problem? Tense up about it. Take action. Have a problem? Pull in, protect yourself. These are all contractive actions. So we kind of get stuck in that contracted state. By taking a series of deep breaths, lungs expanding with air are by themselves physically expansive. We begin to pull ourselves out of that contracted state. In a way, we shock ourselves out of that contracted state. One of the most difficult things about being in a contracted state is that it tends to lock down and become more and more severe. It's self-perpetuating. The more anxious you are, the more you contract to get rid of your anxiety, which makes you more contracted, which makes you want to get rid of your anxiety so you contract some more, and so on and so on. It's why we get caught up in what I call sometimes mental looping. You'll get obsessive about a certain thought or worry or concern. Contraction, contraction, contraction. So the basic first step in this expansion, in this scanning, is a series of deep breaths. So we've done that. And again, what I feel is more still, more calm. Those thoughts, which were chattering away in my mind, have become quieter, have receded. I feel more comfortable just sitting in stillness and silence, which, by the way, is also an expansive step. If action and thoughts are contractions, then stillness and silence is an expansion. So those two initial things are very simple. So hopefully that's worked for you as it has for me. We're going to do it one more time. Then we're going to get into the nuts and bolts of the technique, which is physical muscular relaxation, specific muscular relaxation. But first, again, 5 deep breaths, followed by 30 seconds of stillness and silence. Here we go. 1. Keep expanding. 2. Even deeper. 3. Totally dissipate. 4. As much air as you possibly can. 5. If you feel dizzy, that's okay. You're not going anywhere. You're just sitting in your chair. 30 seconds of stillness and silence. Deep breath. Here's the amazing thing about stillness and silence. Again, deep breath, stillness and silence. So simple, so easy. Can be done anywhere, any place. Think about how rarely you take a moment of stillness and silence in your life. By its very nature, by its definition, it is the opposite of what you're doing when you're contracting. You're not thinking about anything. You're not doing anything. You're not saying anything. You're not arguing about anything. You're not planning anything. You've gone into a place of neutrality. That in and of itself is a movement towards expansion. That's why it begins to make you feel better. It's as though you're in a moving car and the car's not going to stop. You just decide to step out and stand in one place. The car keeps going, but you've made the decision to remove yourself from that speeding process. You've said, I'm going to stop. You physically stop. You mentally stop. Your mind gets the message, oh, we're going in a different direction now. We're taking a break. And by the way, the wonderful accompaniment, we hear the roaring and the dinging and the blinging, that's my washing machine. So sometimes I get a little upset when I'm doing a session and I realize I've left the washing machine on. Then I realize, no, the washing machine is just like anything else. Think of the washing machine and those sounds as those, whatever that event or occurrences that's bothering you, that's obsessing you, it's there. It's going to keep going. It's going to keep making noise. But I've become less concerned about it. I've detached myself from all these external concerns and worries. That's what we're doing when we expand. We're detaching ourselves. We're stepping off the treadmill. We're coming into a moment of stillness and silence. And I take these moments of stillness and silence very seriously, because what they are is a reacquainting of yourself with yourself. You're going, oh, before I started this day and I had these 5, 10 things I had to deal with that I became all upset with and worried about and anxious about and tense about, I was just me. Before I got my day started, before I started anything, I was just me. When you go back to stillness and silence, you're going, hello, self, I'm back to me. You're remembering that you exist regardless of all these things that are spinning around you. So by taking these deep breaths, taking this moment of silence, you're coming back into yourself. So that's one of the first steps we take on this road to expansion. So squeeze your hands together, tight, tight, tight. That's contraction. Release them on my count, 3, 2, 1, release. So Thaddeus Golas, who I based these techniques on, wrote a book called The Lazy Man's Guide to Enlightenment. And he talks about the 2 basic processes of the universe are either contraction, squeeze your hands together, or expansion, release. So the hands, the squeezing the hands together and the release is a sort of a metaphor for this basic universal process. So if we know how it feels to be contracted when we squeeze our hands, then we can also reacquaint ourselves with what it feels like to expand, to relax, to release, to come back to ourselves into a place of stillness, silence, openness, enlightenment, awareness, calm, joy. So we're going to do that now, that simple process of contraction, release, with as many of the muscle groups of our body as we can. And we're going to see if we can't induce a deep state of physical muscular relaxation and see how that affects our overall state of being, particularly our mind. If the mind is a muscle of sorts, holding on to thoughts, obsessively holding on to thoughts, not willing to let go of anger or fear or whatever, and you relax the muscles of your body, and that somehow, by osmosis, influences the muscle of your mind, and your mind relaxes and releases it, lets go of all those obsessive thoughts, and you become calm. So that's what we're going to try to do. We're going to start by relaxing the muscles of various groups within the body zones. And we start with the face. So on my count, I want you to relax the muscles of your face incrementally. Say 1%. The face. 3, 2, 1, release. Now I snap my fingers just because it's kind of like a switch. You've gone from muscles on to muscles off. And I'm doing that because, and you could do it yourself, because I want you to build in an awareness of what it feels like to release muscular tension. You're maybe not as familiar with it as you might be. We can make a fist and I can say relax your hand. You know how to do that. But when I say relax the muscles of your face, you may say, I don't know how to do that. I don't do that very often. So you're going to train yourself to, on command, your command, relax a muscle group. And see what that does for you. So again, the face. See if you can do that. 3, 2, 1, release. And you see how my face kind of slouched. You're looking for that kind of letting go, release, that kind of sloppy, loose feeling that comes when you release a muscle. If you don't feel anything, that's fine. Imagine it. Imagine going from this to this. See my hand? This to this. That's what we're looking for. That's what you're going to get better and better at. So, now we move to the top of the head. Again, how do I relax the muscles at the top of the head? Well, maybe you're not familiar with it, but perhaps you can become familiar with it by practicing. Just think about it. The muscles at the top of the head. 3, 2, 1, release. And you can maybe feel your brow relax a little bit. You know, what we have in life is an accumulation of stress. From the moment we're born, we have to cope with things, and we react to things muscularly, emotionally, mentally, by contracting, by forming an idea or a physical position or an emotional position that protects us or enables us to move through the various millions of conflicts and challenges we're going to face in our life. You know, I have a theory that people get old because they've accumulated so much contraction, so many positions in their life, it begins to cage them. It begins to close in on them and they become less flexible. Their thinking becomes clouded. You know, people say sometimes people get senile not because they've forgotten how to think, but because they've accumulated too many thoughts. Their brains are overloaded. So this is a wonderful process in that it asks you to let go of structure, to let go of contractions, to release, to open up. In a way, it's a youthening experience. You're going back to your beginnings when you were neutral, nothing, open, You had made no decisions. You had no concepts or ideas locked into your brain. You had no physical positions you always insisted on taking. You were open and available to anything, like a baby. So we're moving ourselves into a younger state. The top of the head, 3, 2, 1, release. And I like to describe a crinkled shirt that's just come out of the dryer that has lots of wrinkles in it. And when you pass a steamer over it, those wrinkles relax and do what? So the top of the head, 3, 2, 1, release. Take a deep breath. Stillness and silence. The next zone is the back of the head. 3, 2, 1, release. You're looking for that slight sensation of It's a release and it is a relief. We carry around this low level of tension in our entire body all day long. And when we're sitting, we're eating. Even when we're sleeping, we have this certain kind of held position in our muscles. We're holding. We never want to completely let go because we want to be ready, because you never know. If someone comes to me with, some sort of challenge, I want to be ready. I don't want to be caught off guard. That particularly applies to the mental processes. These days we're all talking politics. If someone says to you, what do you think about this? Well, if I'm not ready, if I haven't got my pre-established position of how I feel on that political issue, I'll be caught off guard and I'll get steamrolled. Boy, you don't know anything, they'll say. You haven't even thought about this. I'll be unprepared. So I carry around my political positions ready to debate at any given moment. Well, that's a lot of contraction. That's a lot of structure to hold on to. So we can afford to let go of all that. It takes energy to hold the structure. It takes energy to contract. As we begin to release muscular tension, we're taking that obligation off of our muscles. We're alleviating it of that demand. You're having to use that much less energy on a moment-to-moment basis in your life. Guess what? You have more energy for other things. You're not tired all the time. You're not exhausted by how much you have to think about things, by how much you have to be ready. You're just prepared in a neutral, open state. It takes almost no energy. The back of the head, 3, 2, 1, release. And again, watch for it. It's really up to you to study yourself. Begin to understand how your body works. Where am I holding tension? Now, you may come across a part of your body and go, I'm not letting go of tension there. That may be your special place where you hold tension. That's your special reserve. A lot of people can't have a massage because it just makes them too uncomfortable. Why? Because they actually start to feel things. As you release muscular tension, you begin to feel things. And a lot of people don't want to start feeling. That's the last thing I want, is to start feeling stuff. I finally got my life under control. The last thing I want is start having emotions and sensations and feelings. So they resist that. But as you begin to release emotions and sensations and feelings, you come back into yourself. You're a more complete, whole person. You feel pure. You don't feel afraid. You're available. It's a wonderful thing. It's the transition from holding back your emotions and your feelings that's scary. Once you begin to release those feelings, you feel wonderful. Zone 4 is the neck. 3, 2, 1, release. 3, 2, 1, release. And again, the neck, 3, 2, 1, release. Now you're going to do this on your own. You're going to sit yourself down for 15 minutes, a half an hour, and you're just going to do this. You're going to explore how much physical, muscular tension can I release. Any amount is of tremendous value because it indicates to you that you can do it, that you have the control over your body, which is the greatest feeling of all. You can change your state of consciousness, and it also relaxes you. Any amount of release is important because, and I've said this many times, so forgive me for repeating myself, you can't contract a muscle and expand a muscle at the same time. It is physically impossible. When you begin to expand, you have stopped contracting. So any movement towards expansion is of value. You say, I only got 5 minutes. Can you help me relax? First of all, I'll tell you to take a series of deep breaths and sit in stillness and silence, nothing else. Then if you got another 2 minutes left, pick a muscle, any muscle group. Focus on that group and say 3, 2, 1, release. Sometimes all this required is that we remind ourselves to relax. People say, how do I relax? Well, sometimes the solution is relax. We don't take the time to do it. We forget that it's within our grasp. All we have to do is make a decision to take that moment. Like I'm taking right now. Take a moment. Take 5. Remember that song? Take 5? Take 5, man. Hey. Take 5. Take 5. Take 5 minutes regroup, come back into yourself, let go, expand, release all the external structures you've attached yourself to that you feel define you. Let them go for 5 minutes. Take a deep breath. Another. And another. 15 seconds of stillness and silence. Now, just for a moment, just now, I forgot all my obligations. Just for a moment, I just felt like I was just sitting here. I had no worries, no deadlines, nothing I had to write, no email I had to read, no website I had to look at. For a few moments, just for a moment, in that stillness and silence, I felt detached. I felt complete. Complete. What does that mean when I say complete? I felt like there was nothing else I had to do at that moment. I was complete. I was within myself. I sensed my own existence, and it was enough. I didn't have to think about anything else. I could just experience that sense of being. That's where we're headed. That's the goal. That's what we're trying to move back to. All it took was a decision on my part to expand, to stop contracting and start expanding. That's all it took. So I say to you, at minimum, if you can do nothing else, if you're caught, if you're stuck, if you're in a bad place, sit yourself down, or as I like to say, sit your ass down. Stop moving. Stop speaking. Now you say, how do I stop thinking? Well, there's a solution for that. Take a series of deep, deep breaths, sit in complete stillness, and begin to do these muscular, isolated releases of tension. If you put your full concentration into that, you cannot think at the same time. You cannot release the tension in a muscle and think at the same time. It is physically impossible to concentrate on releasing, expanding a muscle group, and think at the same time. I know that sounds extreme, but it's true. Excuse me if I keep stepping over here to wipe my brow. I haven't got any air conditioning, so I'm sitting here in like a 110-degree room, but I'm getting used to it. It'll be fixed soon enough. That's a challenge in and of itself. So that's all we're doing. So again, if you'd come to me today and you'd said, Larry, help me if you can. I'm feeling down, and I do appreciate you being around. Can't help it. I'm a Beatles fan. I would have said to you, come here, sit down. Stop everything you're doing. Stop talking. Stop moving. Sit. We're going to take 5. I have no solutions for you per se. I can't tell you how to handle whatever situation you're dealing with. You're going to have to make those decisions. But I can tell you this. You will be able to handle them more effectively once you've come back into yourself, once you've cleared your mind, once you've centered, relaxed, or at peace, and have cleared yourself, detached yourself from all of these worries and obligations. Then you can reapproach the problem with a clear mind, a more effective mind, and you'll make a good decision. But we're going to start with just sitting still. Start there. And but I say just sit still. Try it. I'm going to do it with you. And a lot of times you'll get a message from your body. And what is that message? Thank you. Thank you. You know, because we'll drive ourselves into the ground. The body will follow our instructions, but we will drive ourselves into the ground. But if we can stop and say, I'm going to give you a break. I'm going to let you breathe. I'm going to let you catch up. I'm going to let you reacquaint yourself with who you are. And find that moment of stillness and silence. You'll feel a sensation of relief and gratitude from your body. Your body's saying, thank you. I needed this. 5 minutes. Stillness and silence. I have a fence that was just put into my house by a handyman we use. And it's just a wood gate and, wood planks, and it swings and closes, got a latch, works perfectly well. He did a beautiful job. We had 2 gates put in, and the one is just perfect. This one, the one on the right, the top goes like this. The boards on the right are longer than the boards on the bottom. It's a very slight grade. You can barely see it, but it kind of just goes right. Now that should be fixed. That should be level. So it's kind of like a barometer to me, because depending on my state of mind, if I'm having a good day and my mind is clear and I'm not obsessed or worried about things and just seeing things for what they are, I look over at that gate and I go, oh, what a nice gate. Yeah, it tilts up towards the right. Anyways, what's for lunch? That's what I'll do. If I'm in a contracted state and I'm feeling like I'm losing control of things and I'm fighting harder and harder to maintain control and I'm overthinking things and I'm physically racked with tension and I'm obsessing about what I need to do this or that, and I see that tilted fence, it drives me crazy. Crazy. Another thing I can't control. Another thing that wasn't done right. Another thing that's off in the universe that I can't seem to fix. And I go nuts. It's just amazing what a barometer it is to me, because it'll tell me right away what my state of mind is. I walked out the house today, took the trash out, looked at it, and went, oh, what a beautiful fence. Yeah, it's tilted a little bit. And then we go. Now, another time I could walk out there and it would just piss me off. Point being, the world doesn't change. The world is just the world. Your perspective tells you everything about your state of consciousness. If you are accepting and clear-minded about things, you are in an expanded state. You're just seeing it for what it is and making the decisions you need to make to adapt. If you are in a contracted state, you are in denial, you are rigid, you are closed-minded, you are fighting circumstances and reality, you are in a contracted state. And everything becomes more difficult because you're resistant to everything. When you're in a state of denial or contraction, you can't even accept the realities that are facing you. So you close off from them even more, which makes them even more difficult to deal with. So we want to move ourselves into an expanded state. Take those deep breaths, sit in stillness and silence, and we're going to continue now to release the muscular tension of the body. Zone 1, 2, 3, 4. Zone 5 is the shoulders. Let them drop incrementally. 3, 2, 1, release. So by now you should begin to feel like your body has shifted. It could be very slight. You're no longer in a geared up state, a ready to go state, a battle ready state. You are in a relaxed state. You are settled into your seat. You are in a neutral state. You're coming into your own skin. You're beginning to feel yourself again. The shoulders. 3, 2, 1. Release. Deep breath. And another. And one more. 15 seconds of stillness and silence. Nothing could be easier. One of the hardest things to do in this process is to decide to start the process. To stop moving, to say I'm going to sit in stillness and silence, to start expanding. Because we don't want to let go of our contraction. One of the most amazing things though is once you've started, it feels so damn good. You go, why was I not doing this? This feels great. I'm just sitting here relaxed and comfortable. Why was that so hard? Because we had to let go. You had to release. You had to shift your consciousness. And again, all through the day, we go back and forth between contraction and expansion. When you're contracted, it feels safe because you feel like you've taken a position that will protect you and control your life. We're reluctant to give that up. That's why you have to shock yourself into a state of expansion. We don't want to be one extreme or the other. Ultimately, we want to be balanced. We want our life to be a perfect balance of contraction and expansion. That's what we do. We have to contract. That's the stuff of life. But when you become overly contracted, you need to find a way to let that go. Zone 6 is the chest and the stomach down into the waist. 3, 2, 1, release. And this is going to become easier. As you begin to relax, you go like, oh yeah, oh that's easy. I'm just going to keep doing what my body's doing. Zone 7, the back down into the pelvis. 3, 2, 1, release. Now you're letting go completely. Zone 8, down the legs, across the knees, and into the all-important feet. 3, 2, 1, release. Take a deep breath. One more. 3. We do 2 more. 4. And 5. 30 seconds of stillness and silence. Enjoy. So people will say, well, how do I know? How do I know if I'm expanded? Well, I'll tell you what I'm feeling, because I'm definitely more expanded than when I started. This is going to sound funny, but it just doesn't matter. What difference does it make whether I'm expanded or contracted? Even this process starts to seem less important. What you come to a place is where nothing really matters so much, not even this technique. It doesn't matter if I did it right or wrong. I'm just so satisfied just being. I don't care if I'm good at scanning or bad at scanning. I don't care how far I've taken myself in scanning or not. To be expanded is to not really care much about anything. Even this. Everything recedes. That's why ultimately, the ultimately expanded state is one where you won't call anything scanning, you won't talk about relaxing, you won't do techniques, you won't do anything. When you're completely expanded, you're not going to be concerned about a thing. You're back to ground zero. You're in a completely neutral place. If I was to completely expand, I might even forget why I was here. I might look at my phone and say, what am I doing here? Apparently there was something I felt I needed to do that was really important. Doesn't matter to me now. Now I'm keeping just enough of a foot in the door, so I know why I'm here. But when you come to a really expanded state, and if you ever take like an hour to do this, deep breath, stillness and silence, muscular release. Deep breaths, stillness and silence, muscular release. If you ever take an hour to hang in there, just keep expanding, keep finding muscle groups, scanning your body, looking for areas of tension, keep going deeper and deeper and deeper into the state of expansion, you may get to a point where you can't remember why you started this or how you ended up in this chair. What brought me here? What was I thinking? You will also have forgotten about all the worries and concerns you have. It's like, if you ever had a stoner friend, and they're smoking dope all day and you go like, hey, how's it going? How you doing? And they go like, whatever. Okay, so that's cool. Now, I'm not a big fan of, drugs because I try to be healthy and I think there's physical side effects, which I don't want. The one period of time when I was smoking dope quite a bit was in college, and I remember feeling dumb and I didn't like that. That was it for me there. But that's what it brings you to. That's the state. That's what we're trying to get into. We have a drink or we smoke a joint. But it's nice to be able to get there naturally without the side effects and without the dependency on this external process, which makes us feel weak, like we need something. Oh, God, I need a drink. I need a joint. I need a pill. Makes us feel dependent, makes us feel less self-sufficient. It ultimately weakens us, in my opinion. Nothing wrong with it. We all need a little assist now and then, I guess. But if you could do it yourself, it's just so much more, effective. So yeah, I can't talk about this technique without talking about what it does for me. And what it's done for me today is what it always does. I suddenly care less. I'm not saying I'm not a compassionate person, but I'm less concerned about the details of my life. Just for 5 minutes, I'm going to go back to everything now. Go back to my work and everything. But I'm less concerned. It's like suddenly feel like I have more time. When you expand, by the way, time expands. When you're expanded, you feel you have more time than you could ever need to get done what you need to get done. There's just no hurry. When you're contracted, time seems to be racing by. You have no time. You can't get a control of life, and you're trying to grasp hold of it. And the more you try to grab hold of it, the faster it goes. When you're expanded, it just feels like, as Thaddeus Gola says, when you're expanded, the time is always, let's see, what time is it? Now. It's now. That's what time it is. So that's what it's done for me today. And I love it. And this is why I do it, because it brings me to a place of just peace. And you will get there to varying degrees. It doesn't take much. You'll be amazed at how little expansion is required to shift your state of consciousness. The reason being, as I said, you cannot contract and expand at the same time. If you spend any amount of time expanding, taking expansive steps, you will be moving yourself away from contraction. And sometimes just the smallest step. Again, when you start expanding, you've stopped contracting. So if nothing else, you've stopped that roller coaster. You stopped that runaway train. So it doesn't take much. So be patient. If you do this, if you try this process and you go, oh, I'm not feeling anything, I'm still really wound up, I'm still really tense, just keep doing it. And then look for small changes, like do I feel any different? Do I feel any different? Now, if you're really messed up, you're really contracted, you're really upset, you're just like, I'm in a bad way. I'm just like, you'll never get me out of this, Larry. I'm just like, I'm so uptight, I'm so anxious, I'm so depressed. Man, take those deep breaths. Take 50. Take 50. Because you're physically forcing yourself into a state of expansion. It is a physical step towards expansion. Your body cannot deny that. If you think something, your body may or may not go along with it. But if you physically put yourself into a state of expansion and you take those moments of stillness and silence, you are dragging yourself into a state of expansion. Your body can't fight it. And if you're in a really bad way, take a half an hour, man. Take a half an hour, an hour. I understand. I've been in deep, deep holes. I've been in places where I thought, I'll never get out of this. I'm so effed up. I'm so tense, so anxious. Or I'm either the flip side of contraction, which is depression, which is a contracted emotional state. I'm so depressed, I'll never come out of this. Trust me, deep breaths will dig you out of that hole. They will extricate you from that place. Deep breaths followed by stillness and silence. Now, as a practical matter, stillness and silence is useful because a lot of times deep breaths make us dizzy. So it's a way to kind of recover. You're doing a paradigm shift. Contraction and expansion are physical states. We move between them. But if you're locked into one, it's difficult to pull yourself out into the other. It can be unsettling. It can be what I call rough seas. You take those moments of stillness and silence to adjust. It's like, when you're coming up, if you've ever done or read about deep sea diving, scuba divers will go down to a great depth. They can't just rush up to the surface because they'll get the bends, it's called. So it's kind of dangerous. When you're shifting depths, when you're shifting locales, it can be unsettling. So take it slow. Take those breaths, sit in stillness and silence. When you begin to feel a little stabilized, like you've come into an expanded state, then begin to do the muscle work, the face, the top of the head, the back of the head, the neck. You can pick any area you want. The main point is to 3, 2, 1, my face, relax, and just tune into that sense of release and relief. That's expansion. Again, you just keep moving yourself into an expanded state. Now, seriously, we've been doing this about a half an hour. I feel like a different person than when I started. It's why I do this. It's why I will do it the rest of my life. It works. It moves the dial. I won't stay here. I won't stay this calm. I'm going to go back to work right now and get myself worked up about whatever it is I'm worried about. But I can pull myself out of it. And that's what I'm trying to explain to you. You have within you the power to extricate yourself from a state of over-contraction, to pull yourself into a state of expansion, to relax, to calm yourself, to become still, at peace, clear-minded, and joyful. And that's it. That's all we're trying to do. If you were to come to me in the street and you were to say, can you help me out? This is exactly what I do. I do the same thing for myself every day. I do it for you when I come to these sessions. It's very simple. We all deserve to feel at peace at least a few minutes a day. So it's that simple. I recommend you do it. I repost these sessions. I'm going to repost this one on my Facebook page now. I also post it on the Scanning Facebook page. It's spelled SQANNING. It's basically just a kind of a cute way of referring to scanning, as in scanning the body, looking for pockets of tension. So you can go to the Facebook page, see a lot of the sessions are posted there if you just want to try different ones. And then I have a YouTube page also just called Scanning. If you do a search in YouTube for SQANNING, there's several posted there. But you basically learn the technique. There's nothing more you need to do. It's fun to do it along with somebody sometimes because you're encouraged by that. You can hear from them that if you're not feeling it, keep going. It's okay. I'm never surprised when someone tells me this isn't working. I'm not surprised because when I do it for myself, sometimes it doesn't seem to work. The body is very resistant to expansion. Once it's taken up a contracted state, it does not want to let go. One of the ways it holds on is by saying, this isn't working, leave me alone. Keep at it. You will loosen that grip. You will expand. You will come to a place of peace and calm and centered joy. So that's it. I'll see you next time. I like to leave every session with rule number 1, which is love yourself. You are what you were given. For better or worse, you got to love it all, man. This is what you got, and there's a lot to love. There is an infinite amount of love available to you in the universe, so take as much as you need and just keep giving it to yourself. Just keep shoveling love into yourself every single freaking moment of the day. You deserve it. And then when you have so much, you're so full of joy that there's just so much love that it's spilling over. Take that extra and hand it out to the rest of us because people can use it. If you got extra love to give it to other people. Everybody needs it, okay? So have yourself a great afternoon. Hang in there. Stay safe. We're going to get through this, folks. We are going to get through this. And we're going to come out the other side wiser, stronger, and happier. All right? Take care. Much love. Bye-bye.